Hello, and thank you for joining us for Tech Trek, Provisio's bite-sized virtual learning series aimed at uncovering the core benefits of using Salesforce for use cases unique to the human services industry. This is the first of 7 stops on our Tech Trek learning adventure, and we can't thank you enough for joining us. Today's journey will walk us through the value of Salesforce case management as it relates to managing internal and external referrals, simplifying intake and eligibility screenings, and streamlining service delivery tracking for cross-program collaboration. A quick reminder before we begin, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them in the chat section on the right side of your screen, and we'll address them live at the end of the presentation. My name is Nadia Breeze, and without further ado, here is today's Tech Trek guide, Val Rogers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Valerie Rogers. I'm our Senior Solutions Engineer at Provisio Partners. What that means is I help in the pre-sales process as people start their journey with Salesforce. So I also come from a nonprofit background, and I've worked in housing for the last 15 years. Today on our journey, we're going to talk through a variety of different things. We're going to talk through the problems that case managers and also their managers often run into when in many different systems. We'll talk about some Salesforce solutions. We'll also address how some of those problems were solved, and we'll end with some Q&A at the end of the demo. As we work with a lot of different clients, we often hear different things from caseworkers. We hear that tracking communications with clients is a challenge. When you're working with so many clients, you might also be communicating with clients and similar staff at the same time, and it's hard to keep track of all of that. We also often hear that it's hard to track all those client services because they're scattered in so many different places, including spreadsheets and different state and funder systems you have to use. We also hear that it's hard to keep that client information organized as there are so many different places that you're keeping all of that information on your clients. On the executive side, we often hear that impact reporting takes too long. You don't have access to live data, so it's hard to quickly see how your program is functioning. And it's really hard to see how effective programs are when your data lives in so many different places. So right now we're going to move on to our demo. And please, as you have questions in the demo, please put them in the comments and we'll be addressing those after the demo. As you can see, I am logged into our Salesforce instance for case management. And first, we're going to walk through the home page. Salesforce allows you to create different home pages for your staff, which in turn allows you to add information that your staff might need to see right when they log into the system. For example, I might want to see the caseloads of the other case managers within my program. As you can see here, I have a pretty big caseload as I'm one of our main case managers, but then we can also see additional caseloads of other staff in case we need to shift those caseloads around. You can also see here that we can pull pertinent information to staff directly on their homepage. I might want to see the different partners I'm working with on MOUs to support the work we do with our clients. I also might want to see the cases that have come in as I'm working with different clients. Today, we are going to focus on one of our clients that's interested in finding a new job, and we'll dive in shortly around that. I also might want to see other classes that we have coming up and details around those classes, as well as which classes we have that might need attendance. These are what are called list views, and these can be changed based on what your staff needs. You can see also here that we can see different events that we have coming up. We can see that we need to meet with Elizabeth about her job goals, as well as we have a case manager meeting with Joe as well. We can also track tasks that might be relevant to the work we're doing, such as following up with partnerships for workforce development meetings, as well as getting Joe's signed release of information back. Salesforce will also allow you to see recently viewed clients, so you can see that I'm working with Elizabeth Humphrey and Elizabeth Gaburin, so that as I'm doing my work, I can quickly get to their records. In addition to the homepage, Salesforce has a really fantastic search feature where I can search for the clients I'm working with. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into Elizabeth's use case and be able to see the client we're serving, Elizabeth Gaburin. Another feature of Salesforce, which is nice as you log into the system, is you can also favorite records that you want to be able to see frequently and also see that list of the different favorites that you have. So I often want to see my client demographics. I want to see my open cases. I might want to see everybody that's enrolled in my program, as well as some dashboards that might help me do my work. In addition to this, you will also have notifications when you log in, so you can see when different participants are added to different programs, if you have any approval requests as well. Let's search for the client we're going to work with today, which is Elizabeth Gerberin. As we just talked about, you can see at the top of the screen, there is a wonderful search with Salesforce. You can see I had actually just been searching for Elizabeth recently, so we can see her information, but I can also come in here and search for Elizabeth. As I search for Elizabeth, Salesforce is going to give me all the information of records that we've had with Elizabeth Gerberin in the past, including her account information, some cases we might have been working on, as well as other Elizabeths we might see in the system. Salesforce search is very dynamic. So if I want to just drill down on the records related to Elizabeth, I can click enter, and that will bring me all of the accounts with Elizabeth in it, all of the contacts with Elizabeth's name in it, any leads we might have worked with over time for potential clients, any program enrollments, any care plans, any cases as well. So Salesforce search is pretty dynamic, but we also might just want accounts with Elizabeth's name on it. So if we click here, we can just look for accounts, and then you can see, I can see all the Elizabeths I've worked with over time. With Salesforce search as well, you can also determine what other information you want to show up in search, such as phone number, so that if you're drilling down on multiple Elizabeths, you can easily see the one that you want to work with. So I'm going to click on this contact for Elizabeth Gerberin, which is then going to take us to her record. Salesforce Case Management has some really nice features. There is a contact block on the top here so that we can easily see birth date, phone number, and email. You can also upload client photos as well. We can see client life events, so we can see the story of Elizabeth as she's coming to us, and maybe some of the things that have happened along the way that will help us as we're serving her. We can see when she was born. In our case, Elizabeth received a GED. She lost her job last year and she's looking to get a new job. And then unfortunately, right after she lost her job, she broke her hip, which made it a little bit harder for her to find a job. We can also scroll down on Elizabeth and see some details regarding her as well. If you work with outside systems, you can put our external IDs here. We often work with clients that have outside systems like HMIS. We can also track both birth date and age, email, and then those great demographics that you often have to track for your funders. So things like race and ethnicity, veteran status, if that person's on Medicaid, pronouns, and gender identity. Salesforce will let you track addresses as well. So as you're serving that client, you can easily see where they live, especially if you need to go out and do an in-person visit. Right now, we've just looked at the details around Elizabeth, but we can also see some great related information just from her record. We can click into relationships and see that she has a few cases and referrals that have come in for different services that she might have needed. In Salesforce, you'll also be able to see all the different ways that we've interacted with Elizabeth over the time just from this screen. We can also see more information about Elizabeth's household. We can see she's in the Gerberin household. And then also, if we wanted to scroll over, we're able to see as well her siblings and related contact. Let's drill down and look at some of those cases of how Elizabeth has come to see us in the past. We'll see here, there have been a variety of different cases of how we've served Elizabeth over time. She's been in a lot of our different programs and might have come in for different reasons over the years. We will drill down on this case that came in today in a few minutes, but just wanted to show you also that we have done some case planning with her as well. We can also see which programs Elizabeth has been in over time. We can see that she's been in our financial assistance program. We've served her within our mental health program. And she was also previously in our employment program. As we're working with her, we'll know how we can serve her again. And then we can also see the services that she's been provided as well. So let's go back to that case. As we open this case record, you can see that this case came from our website. Salesforce allows you to put what are called web to case forms on your website so that you can easily pull any information of people that are looking for services directly from your website. We can see here that she's coming in as she's in need of finding a full-time job. She's currently working a part-time job, which we had helped her get, but she's really interested in a full-time job now. We can also see any information relating to that case that might be really important. We can see that the priority is medium. We can track the status. Let's say it just came in, but we want to say that we're now working on it with the client. so that as we're working with her on that information that just came in, we can track the status as well. Related to this case, you can also track if there's any incoming or outgoing referrals. We can see here, we can drill down on a referral. Yes, she's been working with us in the past, but she was also referred by our partner Community Health Options for our employment program. And then you can track any additional details that might be relevant coming from the referring agency. Within this too, if you want to be able to track any external referrals you're doing as part of the first step of working with that client, that is also possible. Maybe they came in for your program but aren't a great fit, and you want to be able to refer them to outside agencies as well. Let's say we want to have that deeper conversation with Elizabeth and get some of that background that we might need for the intake process as we're getting ready to re-enroll her in that program. You can see here on the intake process, we can pull information from her contact, including that great demographic information. We also might want to pull details that might be helpful as we're serving her. We can see that currently she's in transitional housing. We can track her veteran status. And then you can also add additional fields that might be helpful as part of your intake process. Salesforce will allow you to edit fields and page layouts really easily. So if there's different things that you need to ask for your program, it's easy to add new fields, adjust page layouts, and really customize it for your use case. There might be certain steps that we follow as we're doing that intake. So you're able to create checklists, then create tasks for your staff as part of that intake process. So we can easily see on that intake record that we've now have an action plan created, and we can see all those steps as part of the process. So with this program, we might need to collect personal information, collect any employment documentation, as well as coordinate with that referring agency to make sure that as we're serving her and getting her enrolled in our program, that we can do a follow-up with them just to let them know that she has landed safely within our program. These action plans also then create tasks for your staff, which can live on your homepage. So as you're following through on all the paperwork you often have to do as part of an intake, you can easily see those next steps with each of the clients that you're working with. They'll also live here on that case record, so we can check off when we've collected documents, when we've collected that personal information, and the next step. In our next part of the demo, we'll be walking through what it looks like to enroll someone in a program and also the different services that they're going to receive. Let's continue looking at Elizabeth's case and create a care plan. So right from the point where we did look at her intake, we can now come to her care team and easily do a couple different things, including enroll her in a program and create a case plan. Here, we can easily enroll her in the program. Let's enroll her in our employment program, which is the program she will be joining today. And then we can search for that program. You can see here, we also have a lot of recent programs that we've recently worked on. But let's find that employment program. We can see she's now enrolled in that program, and let's also create a care plan for her. Care plans are also considered case plans or action plans, which we often see with the different organizations that we work with. And with care plans, we can create a template of the different goals and action steps and even services she can receive as part of her work within our employment program. Let's create this care plan. We can see it's tied to that original case that came in for Elizabeth. We can also search out for a template. So Salesforce, as I just mentioned, will allow you to create templates for the different goals and action steps you might be working on with clients. With those templates as well, you're still able to create one-off goals and action steps so that these can also be tailored to your client's needs. So pick that employment care plan template. Let's say we're going to start working on that today at 5. And then you can also put an end date. These can stay open-ended if you want to, but let's say we're going to work on this for the next month. We can also track the status. And let's say we're just going to draft this one because we're going to work on it with her before we activate it. And then you can easily see that since we're working with Elizabeth Gaburn, we're able to select her record. As you can see from the bottom, it is going to take us through a variety of steps so that as we create the care plan, we can customize it how we need to. With our care plan template, you can see that we already have some goals and action steps that are tied to that. So let's work to find meaningful employment. We're going to work with her on identifying a desired career path. We've already worked with her before, so let's uncheck that acquire and improve necessary skills because we've already done that with her. You can see that we can also identify maybe additional skills that she needs and help her search for employment. You can see that we can provide different benefits and different services that we can then track and count what we're doing. Here, we're going to track application and resume assistance, career development, job assistance as part of an interview prep as part of what we're doing. You can also come in here and add new benefits that you might be providing to that client for services, as well as additional goals as needed. Then, as we're creating that care plan, we can see that by each of those different goals, we can set statuses, start dates, completion dates, and also track the percentage completion of those different things that we're working on. If you're working with a family, you can also assign different goals to different family members. As you can see, we can add those different dates and tasks, but let's say we filled out everything and it was great. We can actually come in here and save that care plan. So now for that care plan, we can also see any related goals that we're working on and the completion towards those goals. Let's say we also want to remind ourselves that we need to check in with her about this care plan in the next couple of weeks. So we can also create a task for ourselves and even track the next meeting that we have. Once we create these different tasks and events, this will also live on our homepage to remind you of the different things that you might be working on. So let's also set that next meeting and track the date of that. And let's set that as a month from now with having it be April 18th. When you're working with clients, you can also come back to these goal assignments and work very directly with your clients on when they've been completed, the priority, the status, and also any other details regarding that goal assignment. Let's go back to the case we were working on before to look at all the things we've done so far. If we look at our case, we can, as we've already talked about, we saw how that case came in from one of our partners from our website. We saw that referral did come in from our local partner, where we can see more information here. We completed that intake, track those different steps that we have to do as part of that intake process. We then created her program enrollment for employment, also created a care plan. And now let's talk about the different services that we can provide as we're working with her. When we talk about services, there are a variety of different ways that you can track services. You can track services that are tied to group events like benefit schedules, as well as go and look at different benefits and work through providing that person a specific benefit. Look at some of the benefits that we get as part of our employment program. I'm going to look for our employment program here, and there's a variety of different ways to get to this information. This is just one of the ways that you can do that. With our employment program, you can see we've got a lot of different benefits that are provided as part of that program, including application and resume assistance, career development, job search assistance, and interview prep. Let's now provide that service to Elizabeth. So we are on that interview prep record. Let's create a benefit disbursement for her, which is how we're going to track those services that we're providing. You can see as we're providing those services, there's 3 different ways you can track this. You can track someone as a walk-in. This is great for programs. If you have someone walk in, you provide a service, and that's the main way you interact with them. What that will do is it will then track the service and enroll them in your program so that you can track how many people enrolled in your program and how many services that you've provided. And if that person comes back in again, you'll have a record of that service. You can also track any services anonymous as well. This is great for programs where you might just be tracking how many people you served at, for example, an employment fair, where you just need to track how many people were served and maybe not their names. But we can also tie those services to a program enrollment. In this case, let's track that we did an hour of service with Elizabeth, and let's track that date. We can then come here and we can search for her program enrollment in here. We can then tie that record in and we can save that we've served her. And let's hit save. Now, as we're serving Elizabeth, we can then track that she's done that interview prep. Another way that you can track services is create a benefit schedule. Maybe we want to track a class that we're providing for interview classes or resume classes that we're doing so that we can enroll people in that program or in that service. We can track how long we want it to be. Let's say it's 2 hours. Let's say we only want to have 12 people enroll as well. And let's say we have that class starting as of Monday of next week, and we want it to start at 9 a.m. and go to 10 a.m. each time we provide that service. We can then pick the frequency and say, maybe we're having this weekly, maybe we're having it monthly, but let's say we're having this weekly, every Monday, every Wednesday, and then you can either pick the day that you want that to end on, or how many sessions. Let's say we're going to do 4 sessions of this class. We can then now preview those upcoming sessions that are going to come up to make sure that those dates work for us and save that class. So then now let's go look at that benefit schedule we just created, which is that interview class. We can easily see that happens weekly. We can see those upcoming classes, and we can also add participants to that class. We can search for people by program enrollment. You can easily see that all the people that we already have in our employment program are listed here. Let's select a variety of those people. We know our top of our enrollment is 12, so let's add about 8 people to this class. And then all of those people are enrolled in the program. You can also see too that we can drill down into classes. We can also take attendance here and easily show who's attended our class or even who's marked as absent. Benefit schedules can be tracked in a variety of different ways or for different types. You might want to have different classes. You might also have group meetings that you want to track, or even group counseling. So benefit schedules can be used for a variety of different reasons. Now that we've shown you all the different ways that you can track services and the services that you're providing, let's talk about different ways that you can report on what you're doing. Salesforce has really robust reports and dashboards that we can create and adjust for clients as needed. You can also think about your case management dashboards in a variety of different ways. You might want to see those from a staff level, a manager level, as well as an executive level. Let's drill down on our dashboard for our managers. This will allow you to easily see, for example, who's in your different programs, what's the enrollment in those different programs. We can see that our mental health program is a large one that we have, as well as our employment program. We can also see that a lot of the work we're doing is an interview prep. And then you can also see things like staff's open tasks. As you're working with your staff to make sure that they have a caseload that makes sense to them, we can easily see which of our staff might have a heavier caseload. We can also see here the different services that you've provided over time, as well as when over the course of the year you might have a heavier caseload or the majority of your clients coming to you. Another nice feature of dashboards is you can actually subscribe to these. If you want your executive team or your managers to get this on a weekly, daily, or monthly basis, you can set them up to be subscribed to that dashboard, and that dashboard will come to them in their email during that different cadence. You can also come in and download dashboards as well. So if you want to be able to drop these into board reports or staff meetings, these are also available that way. It's important to note that dashboards are also viewable by mobile. So if you are meeting with city government, or if you're on the road and want to tell the story about how great your program is, that is also possible. Behind each of these dashboard components is a report. So I can click on this report here and easily see more information and details about that program. Now that we've just clicked in that source report, we can easily see more information on that report. So let's look at all of our contacts that we've worked with at all time and see that additional information. You can see here that we see the different people that we're working with, the programs that they're in, the start and end dates. We might also want their contact IDs and their account IDs if we're ever exporting this for outside service reports that we might need to do to other systems. But then maybe we want to track some additional information here. So you can see we can group by different things like program and status, but maybe we want to add some additional fields here. Let's say we also want to know additional information like birth date of all those clients that we're working with. As we add that, you can see that it's easily added to the report. Let's say I actually want to see that a little bit farther up. We can actually move that information to anywhere we want within the system. Another nice parts of reports as well is you might have a report that you already like, but you could save it as a new report so that you can adjust those over time. You can easily add charts if you need to. And let's run this report. From here, we can also go in and also subscribe to reports and export these as Excel reports. Let's go back once again and look at that dashboard we looked at before. We did look at the manager dashboard, but we can also look at this from an executive level because your managers and executives might need to see very different information. You can see the breakdown of demographics of the clients that we're serving, the different gender identities that we might need to track from, a funding perspective, as well as client demographics, race, ethnicity, services provided towards goals. So these can be customized for whatever you need. And you can also come in here and adjust these and say, I love this dashboard. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's make this one a little bit bigger. I myself love a pie chart. Let's come in here. We can change this to a pie chart, and you can change these visuals and how you want them to look really easily. Thank you all. That was our demo for today. We are going to walk through some of the benefits that we learned as part of that demo right now, and then we're going to walk into a Q&A. So if there's any other questions people had about what they saw today, we're more than happy to answer those. We often hear from case managers that it's nice to be able to see all those interactions that both themselves and their coworkers have had with clients over time, so that you're not stepping on each other's toes or calling clients at the same time as well. We also now hear from case managers that they're able to see all those different services that they're providing to clients, and that's really seamless. To also just look at that client record and see all the different ways we've interacted with them. They're also now have a single source of truth for data, so they can see all the services a client's gotten, as well as all the programs that they're enrolled in, which is often hard to do when you're across multiple different systems and spreadsheets. On the executive side, we're often hearing that their impact story is a lot easier to tell because you can get that information quickly with that live data. Executives are also more easily able to make program changes based on the information you're collecting. Are people getting stuck in a certain step in intake? Are they not finishing a program for a certain reason? Or are people leaving the program because they're moving often? So really having that data at your fingertips makes it so that you can make those ad hoc program changes as needed. So I did want to walk into doing our Q&A now. So if there's any questions that people have, we're going to open up for questions and we'll answer those as they come in. It looks like we've got a question from Allison. Can we migrate data from our current system to Salesforce? The answer to that is yes. So we've worked with a lot of different systems. The information comes differently out of each system, but we have a great data team that can migrate data in. Salesforce in general also is very easy to migrate into. You can migrate in CSV files. And as part of the implementation services, any implementation partner provides, they often do that data migration as well. So it is a seamless move from one system to another. The other thing to mention too is it's really daunting moving your information from one system to another. So anytime we do that, we put your information into what's called a Salesforce sandbox, which is a copy of your Salesforce to make sure everything landed correctly, and then have you validate it before we move it into your live Salesforce site so that everything make sure that it's in the right place, all the data looks clean, and you're comfortable with how all of that moves in. And Denise asked a question, how long does it take to implement the solution? So that depends on how many programs you're bringing in, as well as what customizations that you need. I would say implementations, if you're doing a very basic version of the case management, we can get you up and running in 3 months. But if you are bringing multiple different programs, or you need a lot of customizations, or you need to connect with other systems, then we're usually looking at between 4 to 7 months. And what we'll do is if you're interested, we will work with you all to talk through those different steps into moving to a new system and give you an estimate of what we think it would take to implement the solution. I know another question we often get to is, what does it look like once you're in Salesforce? I would say myself, I'm what's called an accidental admin in Salesforce. I worked for a small nonprofit that got Salesforce. So it is really easy to adjust over time, which is really important to note. You're able to add new fields, change page layouts, add new programs pretty seamlessly, as well as add new services without having to have a big tech background. And Salesforce has some really great support that also helps with those adjustments over time. So as you're thinking about Salesforce as a new solution, that is definitely a possibility to get up and running, and then also be able to make those adjustments as your programs need adjustments over time. Any other questions that we might have? Why is asking, what tips do you have for accidental admins? I myself joined some really great groups to learn more about Salesforce. Salesforce Trailhead is fantastic as a way to learn. If you're looking to get certified, Salesforce has a lot of really great ways to learn to get certified in Salesforce as well. There are some really great pointers that we can have. If you want to follow up with us afterwards, I can send some of those tips and tricks that we've seen over the years as we're working with a lot of people that have grown into an admin role as they've gone through an implementation. And Nadia, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Val. We hope you enjoyed the first stop of your Tech Trek journey. Please be sure to mark your calendars for the next stop as we gather again virtually on April 18th with Provisio's own Rebecca Beers. She'll be our guide as we learn to navigate through the three key pillars of Salesforce for grants management. That is ease of use, audit functionality, and reporting. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to continuing our journey with you again soon.